It was her wedding day, the day she had dreamed of. But just as Emily stepped forward, her dog, Rex, blocked her path. He growled low, eyes filled with urgency. The guests were silent, confused, and no one knew what Rex was about to reveal would break her heart. The sun shone brightly on Emily's wedding day, casting a warm glow over the garden. Guests smiled and chatted, the soft hum of music filling the air. Emily stood at the altar, her heart racing, ready to marry the love of her life. By her side, her loyal dog Rex sat quietly, as always. Emily had raised him since he was a pup, and he'd always been her constant companion. Nearby, Jake, her younger brother, grinned, adjusting his tie. It was a perfect day, until Rex's behavior suddenly changed. His eyes narrowed, and his body tensed, alert, as if sensing something none of them could. Emily took a step forward, but before she could reach the altar, Rex suddenly stepped in front of her. He growled, a deep, unfamiliar sound that made everyone freeze. The guests, who had been watching in delight, now stared in confusion. Rex's posture was stiff, his eyes locked on Emily, a look she'd never seen before. Her heart raced. "Rex, what's wrong?" she whispered, stepping back. The groom, concerned, reached down to move the dog aside. "Come on, Rex, move," he said gently, but Rex didn't budge. His growl deepened, more insistent this time. Emily felt a cold knot tighten in her stomach. "He's never done this before," she muttered under her breath, her voice trembling. The crowd murmured nervously, some exchanging puzzled glances, others whispering quietly. No one knew what was happening, but one thing was clear. Rex wasn't letting her pass. Something was wrong. Emily stood frozen, torn between the man she was about to marry and the dog who had always been her loyal protector. Her father stepped forward, his voice full of concern. "Emily, let us handle this. It's just a dog. You can't let this ruin your day." But Emily couldn't shake the look in Rex's eyes. There was something in them she'd never seen before. Fear, urgency. It was as if he was trying to tell her something important. Her heart pounded in her chest as she knelt down beside him. "What is it, Rex?" she whispered, her voice trembling. Rex's tail was tucked between his legs, his body tense, but he refused to leave her side. She glanced back at the groom, uncertainty flooding her. I have to follow him," Emily whispered, more to herself than anyone else. Without another word, she stood up and began to walk away, following Rex. Rex bolted forward, barking urgently, his paws pounding against the stone path. Emily's heart raced as she scrambled to keep up, her wedding dress tangling around her legs, making it harder to move. The guests were still watching from a distance, murmuring among themselves, but Emily's focus was entirely on Rex. The dog didn't slow down. They passed the garden, the bright flowers blurring by, and then the back of the house. Emily's breath came in short bursts as she followed him down a narrow old path, unsure of where he was leading her. Rex barked again, louder this time, his voice thick with panic. He stopped in front of the garage door, pawing at it frantically. Emily hesitated, her mind racing. What was this about? Why was Rex acting like this? With shaking hands, she reached for the handle, the chill of the metal sending a shiver through her. She pulled the door open, the creaking sound echoing in the silence. Her stomach twisted. There, on the cold concrete floor, lay her younger brother Jake, motionless, his skin pale. "Jake!" Emily screamed, rushing to his side, her voice a mixture of fear and disbelief. "Jake!" Emily screamed, her voice raw with panic as she rushed to his side. Her hands trembled as she knelt down, her fingers brushing his cold skin. His face was pale, his eyes closed, but he was still breathing, barely. Rex stayed close, whining softly, nudging Jake's limp hand as if urging Emily to act faster. Emily's heart pounded in her chest, a wave of terror crashing over her. She grabbed her phone, her hands shaking uncontrollably as she dialed 911. "Please, help me," she begged, her voice trembling. "My brother, he's not awake. He's barely breathing." Her mind raced back to earlier memories of Jake, a healthy, energetic kid who'd always seemed fine. Then it hit her. Jake had a history of low blood sugar. He'd had episodes before, but never this severe. Her breath caught in her throat as the paramedics arrived, rushing into the garage. They immediately began assessing Jake, moving with swift efficiency. One of them looked up, his face grave. "If you hadn't found him when you did," he began, his voice trailing off, the weight of his words sinking in. Emily's heart lurched. She had almost lost him. Jake was stable now, but the fear that gripped Emily's heart still hadn't loosened. The paramedics had rushed him to the hospital, where doctors worked quickly to stabilize him. A few hours later, Emily sat by his bedside, her hands clasped tightly together. The doctor looked at her, his expression serious but relieved. "You were lucky," he said quietly. "If you'd found him even a few minutes later, it could have been fatal." Emily's breath caught. She looked over at Rex, who sat quietly by her side. The truth hit her like a ton of bricks. Rex had known. He had sensed something no one else could. Tears filled Emily's eyes as a wave of relief washed over her. Her loyal dog, who had always been there for her, was now the quiet hero who had saved Jake's life. Rex looked up at her, his eyes soft as if to say, "Just doing my job." Just a few days later, the wedding resumed. Same venue, same people, but something had changed. The sun still shone, music still played, but there was a deeper feeling in the air, something unspoken that connected everyone. This time, as Emily walked down the aisle, she wasn't alone. Rex walked proudly beside her, his head high, tail wagging gently. The guests stood in awe, some with hands over their hearts, others wiping away quiet tears. At the altar, Emily turned to face her groom, her voice trembling as she began her vows. "I was supposed to walk down this aisle days ago," she said, "but something more important happened first. Rex didn't just save my brother, he saved our family." There wasn't a dry eye in the crowd, and Rex, he simply sat at her feet, calm and proud, as if he knew. He had already given them the greatest gift of all. As vows were exchanged and rings slipped onto fingers, Rex sat quietly at Emily's feet, watching, proud, calm. The crowd rose in applause, not just for the couple, but for the dog who had saved the day. Emily leaned down, kissed Rex gently on the head, and whispered, "You're my hero." The camera lingered on Rex's eyes, deep, knowing, full of love. Sometimes love doesn't speak in words. Sometimes it growls, barks, and saves a life. If this story touched your heart like it did ours, hit like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear your stories too.